You
So
feel
what?
so intense.
So I suppose, I mean, I'd kind of start talking about what kind. I suppose what's happened. You know that all events have been cancelled. Basically, I think there's one running at the moment, isn't there, in Germany? I think is the first games convention at the moment that's actually running in person. But obviously, everything in the UK has been cancelled thanks to COVID, which obviously has had a big impact on all of our businesses. And we thought we'd get together and just talk about what it's been like, what we've all done, and stuff like that. So just to introduce myself, I run Handiwork Games. We're a tabletop role-playing games and card games, board games publisher. We do a lot of studio work for other companies as well. So we work with the likes of Chaosium, Onyx Path, all those guys, Paizo. We do our work for them as well. But we've been going almost 2 years now. Prior to COVID, we did have a fairly vigorous convention attendance, but that's all obviously stopped. And I think we'll have some questions later, right, Phil, about what that's all been like.
Right. Oh, right. Sorry, I was typing away there. Yeah, I mean, I'm Phil. I'll jump in next. I'm Fil Baldowski. 2013, I started this little game called All Rolled Up. Oh, business called All Rolled Up. I invented this unique product called, it's like a dice bag that has you put all your bits and pieces in, and a folding dice tray, and we've just been growing and growing and growing over the last since 2013. And this year COVID hit. I went to one convention this year, actually. It was Contingency at Hunstanton, and that was back in January, and then COVID hit before we could go to any other conventions, and that was it. And all of a sudden I found myself in a situation where 40-50% of my income was just gone. It was just a bit of a shock, and it was kind of like I went into panic mode. First off, trying to get all the government grants. The government will help companies like me because I'm self-employed. I could try to get everything I could, but I was just stressing and panicking and wondering how I was going to keep my 2 workers in a job, because I just literally had taken on 2 employees full, part-time, and I was having to keep them in the job. So it was just lots on my plate to worry about, and it's kind of like, it's still now, I'm still just like, just, it's just surreal. It's just really weird. So, but anyway, but yeah, so that's how it's affected my company. And let's hand over to either Sally or Lydia there. What happened to you guys?
Am I okay to go, Sally?
Of course, go for it, lovely.
Right, so myself and my husband Phil run Genki Gear, so we do entirely original, unique, UK-made ethical products. And I mean, for us, the convention scene is our business. I would say that our website takes less than 10% in an average year. We do nearly 50 events a year. Some weekends we would split up and do 3 events in a weekend between Genki Gear. 3 was probably the most the most we ever did was 4 in a weekend, and obviously we had to have people helping us. 3 is a stretch. 2 was fairly about 6 or 7 times a year we did 2 events in a weekend. So it was a massive part of our business. I mean, even this year we managed 5 before COVID hit, but they were smaller events. They were events that had maximum we did Aircon, which was our last event. We managed to do Aircon in Harrogate, which I really enjoyed, but it was so strange. Everybody was talking about COVID. Everybody was talking about what was going to happen. And while we were there, it was like a domino. MCM Birmingham cancelled, and then the next one cancelled, and then the next one cancelled, and then you were just looking at it going, well, okay, that's April gone. I think only the sci-fi weekender didn't cancel straight away. So it immediately had a big impact. And I think, like you were saying, Phil, is the first thought was, well, what am I going to do for money? Because 90% of my income comes from conventions. So we put a lot of work into online promotion, into Facebook and Instagram, and any social media that we could. We did a lot of sponsoring and a lot of promoting, but a lot of our usual promotional channels were also kind of undergoing huge changes. They were all, either not in work, not in the office. For instance, Neo, who's a magazine that supported us for many years. It's actually, unfortunately, this is our 15th anniversary, and we had a lot of plans in place for how we were going to celebrate our 15-year anniversary. But what we ended up doing was bedding down for COVID instead, and not bringing out a 15-year anniversary range, which we were planning to do, and not bringing out another new range of products, because it's just not the right time to do that. You've got to look at what you're spending your money on and how to be most effective. So, I mean, I think that's where we are at the moment, is we're just making the most of every opportunity. I have to say, as far as the government support's concerned, we've had almost zero.
Oh, wow.
We are not surviving with government support. There is no government support for us. We just don't fit anything. As far as the government's concerned, the only thing we can do is borrow money. And I don't want to come out of this owing money, because you have to start paying it back within 3 months. And who's to say that 3 months into 2021, I'm going to be in a situation to pay back a huge loan? So we're trying to survive without any assistance. And I know we're not the only business that actually just fall through that crack of, or what can you actually do? We don't have premises, so we didn't get that grant of having premises, and so on. So anyway, without being too kind of like, government, nice, lovely, didn't do a darn thing for us. That's where we are at the moment, just trying desperately to reach our customers through the internet, and hope, and events like this. I mean, events like this really are a godsend, because it reminds people that we're here, who we'd normally see face to face, and they'd come by the stall and see the product. So it's lovely to kind of have that opportunity to be back in front of people. Right, over to you, Sally.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Sally. I own and run and make everything for the Crafting Jones. I've been doing, so this weekend I would have been doing the geek side of my business for 2 years exactly, because my first convention was Tabletop Scotland 2 years ago as a trader. So far this year, I managed to do 3 conventions before COVID hit. The last one I did was also Aircon, where I saw the lovely Lydia. And yeah, that even Aircon was slower than normal. I know there were fewer people there than they were expecting, and everyone had this sort of preoccupied air of what's going to happen, basically. So that was definitely different. But yeah, I have, whilst I'm not quite as prolific as Genki Gear in terms of events, because it's just me, I can't do more than 1 event a day. I have done 3 events. Yeah, I have done 3 events in a weekend before, but that was like 3 different, and that was quite full on. So yeah, and I also don't qualify for any government help. So that has been incredibly stressful. And lots of well-meaning friends have sent me the links of like, oh, you can get some help, this will be brilliant. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't qualify, which has been quite stressful. And I am a bit of a Luddite. I'm not very good with technology. I try and be better with technology, but I'm not particularly au fait with all these newfangled doodads and what's it's. So this happening has definitely made me push my boundaries and push my limits in terms of technology, because I have to, because I don't, like the rest of us, I don't have any other way of reaching my customers. So in a way, it's a good thing. I'm learning new skills, and doing things like this are new and different for me. So we will have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I think we all agree that we're all having to make major changes with our business, how we are running our businesses, and what sort of things that we are going to be doing going forward. I mean, I know I've had to diversify quite a bit with what I do. In fact, UK Games Expo was supposed to release a brand new product, and that's just like the worst timing. So I actually have made all this product, and it was supposed to be all promoted and shown to everybody at UK Games Expo, and that's just not happened. And I was really surprised to hear, I guess, Jon, you'd be in the same situation working from home, that you weren't able to qualify for the grants, business grants.
No, I mean, I was advised very early on by my accountant, no less. I have a very good accountant. It's something I pay a lot of money for.
Yeah.
But he said to just keep away from all the grants early on, because early on when it was all announced, it wasn't actually very clear if they were grants or grants subject to then become loans from the government. So he advised all his clients, just, if you can possibly survive without taking anything, don't take anything, and talk to me if if you've got other plans, talk to me. I mean, we were super lucky. I mean, I could have furloughed. I've got 2 employees, and we could have furloughed. We had a chat about, I am an employee of the company rather than I'm not a sole trader. I'm a limited company, so I could have even furloughed myself, but I wouldn't. It would have hurt the company a great deal, I think, to just simply stop working. I couldn't stop working and just like shut her up for however long, and thank goodness we didn't. We were very lucky as well that we had just completed a Kickstarter, had just paid out a nice sum of money just before it all hit, and that is there but for the grace of God. You know what I mean? That is absolute sheer luck that we were able to dip into the sort of profit from that has enabled us to keep everyone employed. Without taking anything from the government, which, luck more than anything else. And also we've been lucky in that sort of faith came back in Kickstarter. We were able to deliver that Kickstarter and do another Kickstarter, which we just recently finished. And faith seems to have returned mostly to that kind of way of funding things. So we've been very lucky, I think. I'm a little bit different in the way my business sort of works, in that we don't rely on convention sales. They're more a sort of marketing thing for our side of things, because we're more publishing, and services more than we are, direct selling. I mean, we do it, but it's I don't know, probably 20% of what we do. So yeah, but also very, very scary, when you've got those staffing bills. It's scary time, because our web store sales just fell off immediately. They went from, we were doing X amount a month, which had built up over 2 years, month on month, really nice growth, and it just went, and you're like, is this it? Did we do, did I put a year into this new business for it to just die, Scary stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize either those grants are all subjected to tax. So it all goes against your income for the year. I mean, I took it because I've lost so much money from the convention, so that kind of made up for, I wasn't going to, it wasn't going to put me over limits and things like that. In fact, I've got the grants and the money's still in my bank. I haven't touched it. So, but it's just, I wanted a buffer there just in case.
Quite right.
We don't know what's going to happen next year. I've got 2 employees that I want to keep into a job, and I rather just do that and keep the money there just in case. But I think a lot of people are going to get a wake up call come tax year next year. They say, oh yeah, you've earned all this money, and you're getting taxed on it, because it is a grant. It's not free money. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you mean. It is in a way free money, but it's free money when you need free money, and and you are going to have to pay some tax on it. So it's almost like, I know this is a weird analogy, but my father used to get rent from a property that he co-owned with his sister, and he always used to forget to put the tax portion to one side. And I remember having a conversation with my aunt Maggie about it, and she said, "But I always told him, 20 isn't yours. You have to, if you get X amount every month, 20% of it actually doesn't belong to you; it belongs to the tax man. You have to ring fence that." I mean, I don't begrudge. Well, there's a slight lie there. I do know 2 companies who have had absolutely no impact from COVID whatsoever, but were given grants.
Mm.
So
Wow.
their sales, their operations, nothing changed. But because they had premises, they could have grants. A small part of me, and call me petty, does kind of look at me, impacted 90% of my business has gone, and go, I can't get a grant. They can get a grant. That kind of feels a little unfair.
Yeah.
Human being, and you kind of just have to squash that down and carry on going.
Yeah, I think the government's realised that now, that some of these people who did apply for grants really didn't need to get the grants, but that's probably going to come out later.
The automatic one, the one that was based on whether or not you have a rateable property, that was so automatic that there's no suggestion that people shouldn't have been given the grant. See what I mean? They were completely and utterly applicable to have them. That was what the guidelines that were set out by the government, and the local councils actually gave out the grants. A lot of the time you didn't even have to apply for them. If you were down to be in a rateable property, you got given the grant. And this is just it. And at the end of the day, who's going to blame someone for taking £10,000 if it's given to them?
Yeah.
I just wish I'm a human being at the end of the day, kind of going, £10,000 would have been very nice. Thank you very much. But the bounce back loans and things, those I just don't have any desire to be in hock to the bank, even under a government underwritten scheme, because at the end of the day, even with a low interest rate, if I borrow £10,000, I've still got to pay £10,000.
Yeah, I don't know where
Exactly.
how does it work, in terms of practicality? How do you borrow the kind of sums of money? Because initially as well, the loans that were on offer were for very high sums of money. And you go, but where does that come from? Just a business plan.
It comes
where
from
does
the
suddenly
bank.
an extra? Yeah, but where? No, but I mean, where does it come from? My repayments, where do they come from? I mean,
Oh no,
do I grow my business like 100% in this now, so that when I've got it just doesn't? It's terrifying. I understand why people are taking them, but
it's just like if you were getting a normal loan, the bank expected you to explain where you were going to get the money from, and of course you were going, I don't know, because I can't trade.
No one knows anything right now, right?
There's this pandemic. I don't know if you've noticed, but I can't actually give you a business plan that tells you where the repayments come from. But they actually wanted you to have a business plan that told them why you were a good investment.
Yeah.
Speculative, wasn't it? It was kind of like, say anything.
So I just wanted to ask everybody, looking at this, have you had any thoughts about how you're going to diversify your company going forward? Now that we know that there are no conventions, we still don't know if Dragon Meet's happening. There's still mutterings going on there. But how are you looking to diversify your business? Do you have any ideas, or do you think do you want any ideas? I mean, can we start with Sally, perhaps?
Yeah.
Are you there? Oh,
hello.
You've just gone still.
All right, I am here. Can anyone see
Go
me?
out of focus when you do that.
I can see you. staring at us.
Doing a little dance. I'm super excited to be here. And definitely not at all stressed. Yeah, so in terms of diversifying the business, am I back?
Yes. Yeah.
Yay!
Yay!
Like you're moving again. Yay!
So I mean, branching out into things like Discord and Twitch to connect with customers, to try and have more of that personal relationship that you get at conventions, that you can't get over a website. So trying to build more of a community in different ways, and doing things like introducing new product lines and promoting things in slightly different ways, to try and reach more people. Yeah, it's all a bit of a muddle. I'll admit. I don't feel like I've truly found my feet yet with how to do that. So yeah, interesting.
What about you, Jon?
It's tricky, isn't it? I was going to say it's really hard because there's no light bulbs go on when you're doing it right. Do you know what I mean? And nobody expected to have to sort of change track. We had, I mean, something else we had, we stocked up at Tabletop Scotland this year. We just did a new product. Well, last year now. Years are weird now, aren't they? When was it? Anyway,
Yeah.
2019, we did a load of these big 3-foot square neoprene battle mats with Paul, who might turn up later. And they flew out at Tabletop Scotland, because if you see them in person, they're really great. But they don't really sell great on the web store, because you can't, they're just a physical product that you need to see to get the, to understand the benefit of them. So, but unbeknownst to me, I love doing sort of barters and skill swaps and stuff. And I swapped an enormous amount of artwork for an enormous amount of these enormous mats that simply don't sell online. Whereas we would have been quids in at shows, because they just flew out. We sold like 10 of them in about 20 minutes at Tabletop Scotland, and they're, like 40 quid each. So it's a good, it's a good seller. But we can't shift them online. But so that, at least that was one cue I knew, right, we can't do anything now that's going to be like that. So anything we put time and energy in is going to have to be saleable online. And my web store just died overnight because nobody was spending any money for that first couple of weeks, which was really terrifying. So we did a lot. We immediately pivoted we sort of brought up a plan that we were always planning to do more and more digital product, which luckily we can do as sort of games publishers. We can sell things, and I'm an artist as well. We can sell digital products that can pay the bills. Do you know what I mean? It's not every business can do this. Obviously, if you're selling like merch and stuff, what do you do? Digital merch is sort of limited. Without a lot of investment, that's going to be tough. We're again very fortunate that we could start working on digital things, and we've thrown all our energies into that stuff basically, and it's just about up to what we were earning from the web store now, which has been good. But yeah, it's tough because you don't know what's right and what's not. We did a lot for, obviously, again with the game side of things, lots and lots of people had a lot more time and were playing a lot more games of like D&D and stuff over the internet. So we zeroed in on that straight away and started providing products for that kind of usage, which again, pure fluke. We happen to do a lot of stuff that was already kind of applicable to that. But again, that's just sheer luck. But yeah, digital seems to be where it's at the moment. And I mean, long term, that's where we want to be anyway. But again, just lucky, really. What about you, Phil? Have you said, Phil, what you've done to...
I was going to say, if Lydia wants to go next.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I had a slightly different experience than you. We immediately kind of went full on Facebook. We promoted a lot of our friends and a lot of small businesses, because we wanted to make sure that people knew we were still here. It was very, I think in the early days for us, there was a feeling of we're all in this together. And we actually had an uplift on our website, which the last week in March and the first week in April were probably the best takings we've ever taken on our website. They were better than, but because people who have known us, we've been going for 15 years. We've got quite a good following on Facebook. Kind of Twitter's a little bit more difficult. Instagram's quite new for us. But you know, we do feel like we're part of a community. We know a lot of dealers. We know a lot of it feels weird calling them dealers in this sort of environment, but we know them all. But you know, we were really worried not just about ourselves, but about people that we loved and really respected their products, and we wanted to make sure that, I think we reminded all our followers that we were here, that they were here. We kind of did a lot of the support small business things on Twitter and used a lot of those hashtags, and we got a good uplift. It's kind of dropped and settled now, and it does feel like we put a lot more work in to stand still at a level that's probably, but we are, like I say, before it was probably less than 10%. I'd say we've almost doubled our website takings since lockdown, but it is through just sheer constant work. So one of my friends, it's funny with you saying about well-meaning friends sending you links to grants that you can't actually get. I've had that, and I've also had friends say to me, "Oh, you must be enjoying all the free time though." And I'm like, yeah. Trying to keep business not failing is really, you know, the days that I just spend around. No. So we're putting a lot.
I know, like, you know, people who said they're playing games and board games and everything. And I'm like, what time to do that? I don't have time to do that. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
I know. I think the difference is yeah, that I know some friends who are on furlough who have had more time, but I also mean a couple of my friends who are working from home. For them the only difference is that they don't have to commute. Otherwise they are working full-time jobs, but they're doing it from the house, so they don't have the commute time. And you know, they're experiencing difficulties in different ways because of the whole isolation. They're not seeing their things. You know, I'm in Manchester, which means I'm no longer allowed to actually see anybody. But before they decided that we were all unclean, we were actually able to go around and sit at least in people's houses at a social distance. And I know, but I'm so totally unclean. But what I was going to say, so I know that a lot of people assume that everybody, if you're at home, you've got loads and loads of free time. Not everybody has. But the other thing we're doing is, so we're putting a lot of work into the website, a lot of work into working alongside other people and doing collaborations. I think we've sponsored about 3 online virtual events. I'm constantly looking for opportunities. We've just done a big competition with Hyper Japan and things like that, which is a Japanese one, because we do a lot of different shows. But the other thing is, we're looking at, it has made us look at, we are too reliant on conventions. For 15 years, we have just almost every weekend, other than December, January, and February, where they're event light. But almost every weekend we've been at a show, and this has made us go, that was maybe not the best business model. To be that reliant on one revenue source, with the website as a, oh well, and if you've seen us as a show, don't forget we have a website kind of backup. So we're looking at Kickstarters, we're looking at other ways that we can kind of diversify, so that even when we come out of this, I mean, we're not going to give up shows, because we loved them. We enjoyed meeting people. We loved attending them. They were our kind of, not just a way to meet customers, but a way to interact with people. But we will be looking, well, we are looking, and we have a plan up until I think February, as to how we can diversify and kind of look at different ways of doing things, different products that we can bring out. So that's our current thing, is to just try and replace the physical sales with online sales, Kickstarters, different products.
Right, my turn. I have a very unusual situation because I started my business in 2013, and until last year, I actually worked from this room here. So I did all my business from this room, and I finally we had like a website. It wasn't a proper functioning website with a shop or anything. It was just you had to place an order and everything was done manually. So the thing that helped me, believe it or not, was Brexit. Because when Brexit was announced and we were going to leave, I kind of like went into panic mode and decided, oh, I wanted to make sure I had everything in place. We just got a unit at a big mill last year we moved into, which is absolutely beautiful. It's 2,500 square feet. I've got space everywhere, got room for all my stuff. We moved everything out there. And then, of course, all this happened. But at the end of last year, luckily, I got a proper e-commerce website, a website with an e-commerce shop, and that went live in December. So basically, getting all these things in place, like the Brexit, building up all my stock, getting the website in place, and then COVID hit. I was kind of semi prepared. Do you have the other ones as well? Sorry, I was kind of semi-prepared for this, not unknowingly. So it sort of, I'm the sort of person who, my brain's just on overload all the time. And the first thing, when COVID hit, I just thought, oh my God, what are we going to do? What am I going to do with my business? I've lost most, a huge chunk of my income. We did okay with web sales. We were, it was constantly coming in, but we've got such a tactile product that we did more sales at conventions because it was something people were like, oh, that looks so much better than it does online. I mean, I wish I had £1 for every time somebody said that. So it was kind of like, it was like, what do I do? So I'd already started a business last year called Snap and Roll, which was working on the business to business side on doing custom printing for dice trays. And I actually decided, and again, another really good decision I made last year, at the end of last year, to dissolve that and incorporate that into All Rolled Up. So it was weird. It was almost like I had this sense that it was coming. The apocalypse was coming and I was already prepared for it. So it was really helpful having all this here. So what I'm concentrating, the first thing I did was my accountant said to me, you've got fabric, why don't you make face masks? And I'm like, I don't want to make face masks. No one will buy face masks. And of course, yes, they decided, the government said, oh, everyone has to wear a face mask. So we sort of, for about 2 months, I threw all my energies into just making face masks because I already had the fabrics, I had all the materials, so it wasn't something I had to go out and buy. And that really helped. I mean, I don't sell them very much. Just having that extra income coming in, other than the drop in sales, like everybody else, our sales, like the first 2 weeks, just stopped. There was no sales at all. And then it's sort of trickling up. People were trying to support us, like Lydia there. But still, we relied on those convention sales, and to have lost all those, it was just a hard hit. So the face masks have helped a little bit. I'm not saying it's made up for everything, but I've just decided now that with COVID, we don't know what next year's going to bring. We know that all the conventions are gone this year. Who's to say we're going to have conventions next year? It's because it's not like you can have a convention outdoors and have everything outside in the air where you can be a bit more safer. Conventions are very enclosed areas and people are so, wall to wall, that it's probably one of the last things that the government's going to allow to happen. So
no, they're allowing them on the 1st of October.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Well,
it's already on the roadmap. 1st of October, you can have gatherings, unless and I'll say this because I don't want to be too political, but unless there is a spike in infection, which you could argue has already happened, but they are continuing with their plan to open large events from the 1st of October.
Right. Again, it's just having people, whether or not they're going to come to the events as well, because so many people are scared about this. I know myself, I am self-employed. If I get sick, that's my business gone. I can't, I need to be well to have my business. So I'm actually treating myself like a vulnerable person, and I'm making sure that we take all the measures. I had to refit the unit with a sink and hot running water and put everything into the unit just to make it COVID compliant for me and the employees. So we've done everything we can in that sense. But the other thing that I'm looking to do more now is it was part of the snap and roll thing, is the business to business sales. I want to try and concentrate, just let the all rolled up website sales still come through and promote those, but really look into doing more business to business, because I've got this thing with Paul Moore. He prints my dice trays, he prints my Aru panels, and we work with other companies with we did Kickstarter there with Jon. Thank you, Jon, for just before COVID. Yep, he's got his little all rolled up there. So we work together. Jon and I actually work together quite a lot. We do dice. He's got all the props there. Hey, there you go.
Well organised.
We're organised.
But I'm working with Jon. We've worked with Jon quite a bit. And I'm also, the other thing too that's been really helpful is licensing. I've picked up on licensing probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and I've slowly been collecting this range of different companies that we do license with. And our latest one is we've just done Free League, so we're doing, like, I'll just show you, it's lovely Aru here. That's from the Basin role-playing game that Free League does. So that's another thing. Working with companies, diversifying by working with other companies. Licensing is a good way of doing it. Working with Kickstarters. So we again, Free League are just doing the Twilight 2000 Kickstarter, and we're going to be doing the dice trays for it. And there's another Kickstarter. I can't say anything more, but I'm just saying that we have more things in the pipeline. Working with companies, so going to all these conventions, I've made lots of contacts, lots of friends within the industry, and lots of relationships. I've formed a lot of relationships with working with people. I mean, even with Lydia there, haven't done them yet, but look, Lydia, I've got your fabric. We're going to be doing Space Kitty face masks. Yep.
We are. I do have some designs that are hopefully going to be loaded on Spoonful Hour and
Monkey,
that are going to be D&D based in
small
repeat packs. And I know that we're saying that we're going to do dice rolls. So I mean, this is just it. These are the sort of things that I think we know we're not always greatest at following up on, because when we do have shows back to back, unfortunately, things can kind of get bumped on your to-do list until you're blue in the face. I would never have used Discord before this happened. I've just started a YouTube channel, and I don't consider myself very photogenic. I really wish we had like a nubile 20-year-old to put on camera instead of me. Maybe I can just
talk to Jon. He's fantastic at making videos. Trust me. Talk to him.
I'm a nubile 20-year-old. Get a load of this. Yeah, no, I do a lot of video work. Yeah, we should definitely talk.
Oh no,
that.
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I won't bore the people who have kind of tuned in to hear a different talk with video chat. But I would love to have a conversation with you, because I am coming from a position of I do not know what I'm doing at all. and I don't appear on video. So I'm happy to do video chats. I'm happy to take videos. I'm happy to do various things. And I think, what you were saying about diversifying, Phil, you're obviously in a very good position that way. It's a little bit harder in a way for us because we had set up our entire business to be a merchandise business. We produced t-shirts and gifts and various things, and we sold them at shows. And people, t-shirts, again, you want to see the sizing, you want to handle the t-shirt. And, I've talked to people about this. It's like you were saying, John, about the mats. We have these big, lovely, fluffy cosplay ears that a really nice person in Sheffield hand makes for us. You can take those to a show like the UK Games Expo. It's got no relationship to cosplay directly, and sell 50 pairs in a weekend because they're just adorable. But you put them online, and I think I've sold 2 in 4 months.
It's that sort of event purchasing, isn't it?
They just don't look the same at all. So we're kind of trying to overcome that in various ways, like YouTube. But I'll just very quickly say, I know that I said that the government is saying that shows are back from the 1st of October, but I think one of the reasons, there are a couple of reasons that I'm aware of anyway, that shows are not necessarily taking the government up on that offer, because you can do shows and then you can do shows within the guidelines, and then you can do shows safely. And if you do shows safely, you will make no money whatsoever as an organizer, and you will be putting
that's the whole thing. Like, I mean, exactly what you're saying. That was what I was going to mention next. That how would we have, if we were to do conventions again, how would you do it? I mean, I'll be really honest here. I've talked black and blue with people, and we'd have to have like literally we're thinking about these pop-up banners with clear screens. I talked to Paul more about this, that we put like PVC, those pop-up banners, but we'd have PVC, and we would have to line the entire stand with those, and then stand behind there with masks, with face protection and everything. We'd have to have hand gel stations everywhere. I mean, we'd have to get rid of things that people would touch, and basically I would just have to stand there and show people what I've got and say, oh, do you want this one? Oh no, do you want that? I'll get that one down. It just wouldn't work, because my product, people will pick it up, and it's a tactile product. They want to open it up, they want to look inside, and it really wouldn't work for us going to conventions. We just couldn't do it. I just don't see it until there is a cure, until we're immunized, or what, that it's safe again just to do it person to person again. I can't see me going back out there and being able to sell my particular product anyway. So
I think what I was saying is the government guidelines at the moment say that you can only sell tickets in advance, which I do know two events who are currently going on seem to have forgotten that particular thing, because they're advertising tickets on the door, but you're only supposed to do e-tickets. You have to give every person a 10-meter square space.
Wow.
So you've got to have that they've got 2 meters that way, 2 meters that way, 2 meters that way, and 2 meters behind them. The current guidelines, you've got to have a one-way system in, a separate entrance and exit and entrance, and you've got to have staggered entry. Well, I say got to, these are all guidelines.
We all know that, Lydia, when we go into the supermarket, that really works, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well,
go on.
If you actually don't work within the guidelines and you get a visit from the council, it's a little bit like, we all know there are people who sell stuff that's fake at a show, that they take the risk that trading standards aren't going to be there. But if you're an organizer and you deliberately organize something, knowing that you're going to have more people in than the government say you're allowed to, knowing that you're not going to have a one-way system, or you're not going to have social distancing, and a council representative comes in, they can shut you down immediately and you will lose all your money. And so it's a big risk not to follow the guidelines, if you see what I mean. We all know there are places, and I I know that there are indoor car boot sales that are going on now in Manchester that have more than 300 people in an inside setting with absolutely no social distance. Because I know somebody who went to one.
Yeah.
And obviously my attitude was, why would you go to that? I wasn't particularly kind, I have to be honest. I think the shock showed on my face, and they said, it never occurred to me that it wasn't okay. I go to this car boot sale, and I went, so it was outside, and they said, no, it's all inside. And I said, but you're only allowed 30 people in an inside setting. I said, I think there were about 300-400 people there.
Yeah. I mean, Jon, you said you're going to go more digital. Do you think you do conventions at the moment, if we were allowed to do them?
It's kind of weird one as well, because I'm based in Scotland. So, it's really confusing about when we had different rules about how you get from where we were allowed to travel 5 kilometers to England, where you could just just do what you want in England, mostly. It's amazing the difference in the mask wearing. So Nicola Sturgeon comes on and goes, right, everyone's got to wear a mask. Everyone just wore a mask. But on the UK media, it's like, oh, masks necessary. Yeah, put them on, for God's sake. Anyway, no, I wouldn't do conventions just now, and I won't for the foreseeable. The risk's too great. It's kind of, I would rather struggle to make up that income another way at the moment. I mean, I wouldn't sleep at night putting my staff in that situation. Do you know what I mean? They're probably all healthier than me, but yeah. But like I say, we're very lucky in that we've got some other avenues. If I didn't have those other avenues, and I'm just hopeful that maybe if things get better and there is a vaccine, I mean, nobody knows if that's going to actually be the case, but if there is, then hopefully our businesses will come out of it a lot stronger, because we'll have several different, strands to it. But yeah, scary stuff.
And you, Sally, what do you think? I mean, would you? Because I think you've got some other things, like you've had some health issues in the past and such. So does that affect you at all, or?
I mean, I don't class as I'm not in the vulnerable category, which is very lucky. But I would not want to do conventions at the minute, because I don't think it's safe. As you were saying, Phil, sort of would require masks and plastic screens and all sorts of things, and if that had to happen, then I think you would lose the spirit of the convention itself anyway. So I don't think there'd be a point in running it. I mean, to me, the point of going to conventions is that sense of community, that sense of togetherness. I've made so many amazing friends, other traders like yourselves and customers, and it just would not be the same with those kind of barriers in place. Completely aside from the actual safety point of view, really. And as previously mentioned, I don't think it'd be financially viable for quite some time, because people would be, quite rightly, really, staying home until things are a lot safer. But I massively miss conventions, even though I get really stressed about them, and it takes a lot of prep work, and I have to put off doing a lot of other things, and my house is literally full of boxes all the time. I love conventions. They are brilliant. They're fantastic. It's great to meet people. It's great to see people. It's, from a trader point of view, it's great to see people excited about my products. You can't get that on a website. You can't get that. And it's amazing when I go to a convention and I see someone walking past who hasn't bought from me that time, at that convention, but who's wearing a pair of my earrings, or when someone brings a friend over and is like, oh my God, I bought from Sally last time, you have to buy something, it's so pretty. like that. It's just so uplifting, and yeah, you don't get that on a website, or even doing something like this. It's brilliant to still have these connections, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing. So I do massively miss them.
Can't get
yeah, air hug to everyone. But I wouldn't trade at a convention for a while yet, because it's not safe, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
I'd have to really think about it. I mean, both myself and Phil are actually high risk, because we both of us, funnily enough, have two conditions that put us in moderate risk. So I did have to shield initially, and then they turned around, I think after about 4 weeks, and said, "Oh no, we've changed our minds. You're now from extremely to just high risk, which means you can go out, but just be careful," which I love.
You can go if you want to roll the dice,
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I had a business to run, so I was going down. I mean, I still now operate the same that I did then. I go out of the house once a week. But I've got to be honest, I think it would depend on the event. I think it would depend on who I was seeing, how much I trusted that organizer as to whether or not I went to an event. There are some events that I would honestly, like Tabletop Scotland, if they said, "Well, we're going to have an event,"
yeah,
I love the organisers. It's a small enough event that I believe that it could be managed. They've got, if on the other hand, and this is no offence to the organisers, but if it was MCM London that has 120,000 attendees, I probably would have real panic attacks about being in the Excel Centre with 120,000 people.
yeah.
So I think it would depend on who it was, and how large the event was, and how much I believed that the organisers were going to try and balance, making sure there were enough people through the door for it to be profitable, making sure that all the everybody was safe, attendees and
I mean, it'll also be like, we'd have to stay at hotels. So are those hotels okay? Are they following COVID compliant forms? Taking your methods of payment, you wouldn't want to take cash anymore. So you would have to take electronic payments. And that's already a huge issue when we go to conventions with the Wi-Fi and everything. So it's all going to force us to have to pay for a dedicated line for internet and such when we take sales. So, it will probably, maybe I'm just thinking that if we did do events, what's the cost going to be like going forward? Are they going to go up in price? Not from the organisers, but everything, all the other incidentals that we have to look at.
Just kind of quickly jump in. There are quite a lot of payment methods that don't rely on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So,
well, but then it's the phone signal. So if you don't get the good phone signal in there, and everybody's on the phone signal, because we do phone signal, we do Wi-Fi, we've done it all, and it just depends on where you are in the country, I guess. I mean, if you go down south, no way, you'll never get a signal. You have to go like out in the car park to pay for your transaction and such. But just things like that. There's a lot, that we have to really think about going forward. But I just know myself, I just don't want to get sick. They say I'm not exactly the most felt person in the world, and it just really frightens me. They're saying the people who are overweight are really at high risk. Their chances of, and I'm just scared. I am honestly scared to death of this virus. If I was to catch it, what would happen to me? So, that's why it just takes so many precautions. But it's not pleasant. But I mean, I think if we can all start working together, a lot of companies, doing that networking thing, it'd be kind of nice if there's nowhere central where you could do that. I mean, when we used to go to conventions, that was our networking place.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you got work. I mean, that's where I got all my licenses, was actually going to the game companies, you know, and saying, look, I want to make your product, your image on my product, and showing them my product. Whereas if I just did that and said, look, I want your image on this product, they're like, oh, what's that product there, you know? And it just it's just so difficult. So I think maybe we should look at ways that we can network more, maybe try and, you know, put people together that can help each other out. Because obviously I can do things for Jon. Jon does artwork for me. He's hopefully going to be doing me a lovely all rolled up video. Show you what an all rolled up is. But just things like that. And Lydia, you know, I'm going to be doing the face masks with your fabric, and you said you're going to be providing more images, which is something that I want. And you know, I'm hoping maybe something I can do in collaboration with Sally as well. We can talk. I think we need to start, you know, networking more, trying to help each other, you know, each other out. I mean, the bigger companies, not saying they've got it easy or anything like that, but they've got staff to do all different things, a lot of them. But I mean, even some of them, like if you look at some of the publishers, they don't have a lot of people working in those companies. You know, they might have half a dozen workers or something, and they might be a huge company, but it's kind of like, you know, people would talk to me and say, oh yeah, well, talk to your shipping department. And I'm like, but I am the shipping department. You know, people don't realize that it's only me, my son, and my son's friend Johnny. That's it. That's the three of us. We're all rolled up. So I think it would be great if there's a way that we could do that. I mean, whether there's a central network that someone could come up with who was more technically minded, that kind of like could match different companies to do different things. I mean, I think that would be a really big help to a lot of the small companies, you know, doing that and trying to see what things we can all do. Go on, sorry, Lydia.
I was going to say there is a fairly simple solution, which is Discord. If you just set up a Discord server and had a different channel, a chat channel for each skill that you would like somebody to help you with.
Yeah.
And we invite everybody that we think would be useful to network. And then you either you leave a message. I mean, this is just literally off the top of my head. If you kind of, we set one up, say, for video, I put a thing in saying, is there anyone out there who can give me some advice and some help on making videos for YouTube because after novice? And then hopefully Jon, knowing that he has the video skill, would bob into the video channel and see my cry for help and go, well, actually, I think I could help with that. And if there was something that Jon wanted, there'd be a channel there that he could pop into and go, actually, I really need some help on marketing or whatever. So I'm just saying that, funnily enough, Discord is weirdly, I'm probably in about 8 or 9 Discord servers now, for various things, various events and various exhibitions, but also people that I never even dreamed had a Discord server before, and now I have a Discord. It's you know, I've had one since March, funnily enough. Strange coming.
Yesterday.
This morning.
I set mine up for the Sci-Fi Weekender in the Sky, which is going back well, it's April. I'm just saying, you know, there are a few things that would be great for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, even
something we should do as well. Sorry, Phil.
No, go on, Jon. I'll say after you. Go on.
I was going to say something. Just chatting to you, Phil, recently, just with doing stuff for our Kickstarter. It's really nice to get to chat to people as well on the sort of mental health side of things, where we're all in the same, you know, similar businesses, and just being able to chat to someone who doesn't go, oh, there's loads of grants you can get, or have you,
Yeah.
you know, and you don't, and you can just talk actually about business, and people know what the hell you're talking about rather than go, no, you make games like what, like Monopoly, you know, I get that an awful lot, and I don't, you know, I don't mind, it's nice, but it's nice to talk to people who know what you're talking about, and yeah, that could be a real positive side of it as well, just the social side would be really nice to just chat to people, you know.
Well, that's it. Even like just having like a little drop-in service on Discord. Maybe there's a channel on there that, you know, that we have a drop-in service. If somebody, like, I'm very lucky. Well, I don't know if I'm really lucky, but I live at home with my husband and my two adult sons, and we all live together. So there's 4 of us here that, you know, we can either drive each other crazy but we've all got support from each other as well. And obviously then there's other people who might not have anybody living with them. And, you know,
Hello, that's me.
Yeah. And, you know, but it'd be nice for you then to connect to somebody, you know, and just chat, have somebody to, you know, rather than just, you know, posting messages on Facebook or whatever, you know, just I'm feeling down today, blah, 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 that you can actually go into a room in Discord and there'll be like not a support, but just a support network, I would say.
Yeah.
That you could just have a morning coffee drop-in, bring in your cup of coffee, you know, in your cake, and just sit there and have vodka. Yeah, I've got my water bottle here, so yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
Gin.
Nice if that support was there. I mean, the other thing too is there's a lot of these virtual conventions popping up. So just thinking of ways that you can incorporate business into that model. Now, I did a convention earlier this year for Grog Meet. It was a virtual Grog Meet. And my part of it was that we had the store and we offered a discount, and I gave a really nice discount to all the GMs that ran games, so they got extra discount that they could use. And then we had like a discount code saying that if you are attending this convention, just pop the discount code in and you'll get a discount. So I'm kind of looking at that. I'm not the sort of person who likes the discount stuff, because, you know, my product is worth a certain amount of money and I don't think I should devalue it by heavily discounting stuff. You know, sometimes the profit margins aren't as much as what, you know, if somebody had something manufactured that they could do that and could run lots of discounts. So because this is, you know, believe it or not, this all rolled up, this blood, sweat and tears in this. I have to cut, sew, assemble, you know, there's a lot of work in this, and I do all the work for it. It's not like I just order it down, you know, from the company and they deliver it to me. So but thinking about it, if you do more virtual conventions and offer a discount code for that convention, perhaps even offer like a little bit more discount for people running games, whether they're GM, you know, role playing or board games or tabletop games, whatever. That if you think about all the money that we used to spend on hotels, food, travel, that kind of even, you know, they kind of
balances out.
It sort of evens out a bit, I think. So maybe thinking about doing more virtual conventions, offering special incentives or discounts. Obviously, I'm going to do. Oh, I don't have it here. Or do I? No, I don't have it. I was just going to say I have a UK Games Expo dice tray that you can buy off UK Games Expo website. But anyway, I should have so looking here, insert dice tray. But yeah, but doing things like that, like providing even the product, like we're going to be working with Chris Hart in Grog Meet, virtual Grog Meet later this year, and I'm going to be doing merch for that, but it'll be only merch that will be available through the online convention. So that's something even you could do, Sally. You could create a special dice set or some special key rings or something like that, and talk to these people who are doing, because these virtual conventions are popping up left, right and center. I mean, there's obviously Furnace is an event that we've both done. It's a little event, but saying that, it's something that you'll be able to do as well. So that's another option for people who you know, used to go to conventions and sell product. That's a way maybe to sell your product, whether it's, you don't necessarily have to have a website to do that. it helps. But just doing something like that, that's a way. I know it's losing a little bit of your income on what the product you're selling, but at the same time, you aren't losing it in the fact that you don't have to pay the hotel or food or travel. So
I think that's a fair point. I hate to be the kind of voice of gloom here. I've done 8 virtual conventions so far since lockdown. Only 3 have produced any noticeable pickup in sales. I've done a discount code for all of them. And it very much depends on, for me anyway, and I know this could be completely different, the larger the event, and I'm hoping UK Games Expo is the exception to this rule, the more you'll just not even be noticed. Because people, for instance, San Diego Comic-Con, to watch the panels of celebrities talking to each other, the exhibitors hall was 2,000 people in a list, unless you paid over $2,000 for an actual sponsored listing.
Wow.
Well, funny you say that.
Last weekend, to get a small sponsored listing was $350. The free listing actually looked quite nice, but I probably put about 3 days' work into that convention, and I got 2 sales out of it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because yeah, sorry to interrupt. Funny you say that I've been contacted by Essen as well, and they want me to do their convention. So that's, but they want to charge me, and Gen Con was another thing. So
yeah, a lot of them want to charge you. They're not. Some of them like this, but the UK Games Expo is free because we had stands.
Yeah, we already paid for it. Yeah.
Yeah. But and no offense to the UK Games Expo, they're a company, they've got to survive. But I've probably been approached by everything from the cat show through to Essen, so all for paid stands. But even the free ones, like I say, the bigger the event, the less likely it is that the people logging on really are spending a lot of time in the exhibitor's space, because it's a very blank. I don't know if I'm expressing this well, but when you go around a show, you do that tactile thing, and you go like, oh, look at that stand, it's really pretty. Oh, look at that jewelry, and that looks really cool. I'm gonna have a look at those dice trays. I'm gonna stop, and I'm going to do that. And I think it's difficult when all you've got on a space on a virtual convention is, right, here's your profile, you can put X number of pictures up. The UK Games Expo have been great because you can put lots of pictures up. But for instance, one convention that I did allowed us to put one single convention up and 2 single lines of text. And that's how you're supposed to get people to visit the website. And one of the most successful ones I had was a far more interactive one on Facebook, where they encouraged people to visit the exhibitors, and it was they had Stream and they had Discord, but they also had a lot more sort of you were on there all the time, and you were encouraged all the time. That was
I was just going to say, I think it's just going to depend on the conventions and the type of product you got, whether it sells or not. I was just going to jump in here that I'm just noticing the time, but does anybody, our loyal audience here, I'm so grateful that you've come to watch us. Does anybody here have any questions for us? Beyond, speak up, say something, make your voice heard. I hope.
I think everyone's muted, aren't they?
Yeah, I wonder if someone might type in the text chat, possibly.
Oh, here we go. Oh, I don't know where to look for that text chat.
Well, we set up the text channels, so
yeah.
Voice of Dave. So where do I look for that? David! Like help!
It's all right. No one's asked us anything yet. It's okay.
Oh, bless you. Bless you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is that somebody? No?
Yeah, Dave just tagged you in a chat to show you where the text chat is.
Oh, thank you, David. I don't know what I'd do without him. I mean, he's my techie guy. So, and he set up, I just want to say thank you. David, can you come through, please? I just want to introduce you to everyone. I do have to thank him because he did set up my whole Discord thing for me. And to be honest, All Rolled Up wouldn't be All Rolled Up without him. He's been the biggest help. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do anything without him. You coming through? Come on. I know he's shy. David?
Poor David. What's he going to do? Do a little dance first?
I'm expecting like jazz hands and some spangly tights.
Aww.
Bit of glitter.
Okay.
Good man.
Down on the chair. Anyway, this is David, everyone. This is the other half of All Rolled Up. And he's very tiny because I'm really big in front of him. But in fact, David's in charge of all the dice trays. And he does a lot of stuff on the website. He'll put products up and everything. So, and I'm hopefully going to be teaching him and Johnny to sew so I don't have to do as much sewing. But he does the bit trays, the dice trays. What else do you do? You do all the post, face masks. He helps me with the face masks.
Anything you don't do, basically.
Yeah. So, but I will. To be honest, I'd just be lost without him. He's a really integral part of All Rolled Up. He's a good salesman. Him and Johnny are good salesmen when we're at shows and stuff. So, I just wanted to bring him in to say hi because no one was asking. Is there any? Where do I look for the questions?
You click
David?
on. You scroll down. You see where it says unconventional chat, and there's like a little red.
Okay. Yeah.
And then scroll down. I don't think anyone's.
Yeah.
Nobody. It just
No one's
says,
asked.
Yeah, no one. Yeah.
I do have one question.
Oh, okay.
Hello. Oh, is that Paul Moore?
It's Paul
It
Moore.
was
Wait
because
a minute. Paul needs to come in and say something. Where are you?
He's in
What?
the chat.
Where is he?
I've been
If you-
listening
if
the whole
you-
time. But
Sinister.
I'm shy, so I don't have the video link.
Okay, hang
I
on.
think
Where are you?
one thing that does
It's down in the.
describe everyone here is we're all in manufacturing one way or another. We're all capable of producing products from scratch. I think pretty much everybody in here, from what I can see with the pictures, and I'm sure we've all from time to time had people who are trying to create their own product, their own game, their own thing. They're going to Kickstarter and they've never done anything like it before. And I get questions like, "Oh, can you do maths?" Yes. "Oh, can you do?" And then suddenly there's a list of weird and wonderful things that I clearly can't do. But if we had more of a guild, as it were, of people to go to, like I'm looking at here,
I like
and
that.
I think this is kind of a central thing. I mean, we can't go to the conventions, but we can certainly bring our skills and our abilities to people who are looking for them. I mean, the end user, that's great. They come and they buy the amazing product and walk off and they're really happy. But there's a lot of people out there who are desperate to create their own thing, whether it's a book or a game or an interactive space rocket. I don't know. I mean, we get some crazy things. But I mean, you touched on earlier the idea of having a Discord server where we could all meet up and chat with each other, or swap stories, or swap links, or ask each other to, help us out. But if we actually take that a step further and have like a conglomerate of services that we can then offer the small guy, really. My experience is the guy who's doing things for the first time, we can come to them, provide them with prototype servicing, provide them with the short run stuff. And then when they've gone off and they're now big and successful, suddenly they're ordering everything from China. And I mean, that's just the way it is. But you have a lot of guys who stay small, and you also now, well, I certainly do have a lot more guys who are more keen to keep their business within the UK. because there's an awful lot of uncertainties out there. So, I mean, we're being asked to quote on bigger jobs and even being acknowledged that we're not the cheapest, but we're in the UK. We're not 8,000 miles away. And as I think Phil messaged me today and said, Royal Mail are putting up their prices for the 4th time this year.
Yeah.
COVID's effect on global distribution has been crazy. So yeah, I think there's a lot of mileage in doing this kind of thing more regularly, certainly, and a Discord server where we can all display our wares and be more aware of what everyone else is capable of, so that when we're having that conversation with the end user, we can go, that's great. By the way, did you know you could get some bespoke jewelry done? Do you know you could get some, bespoke all rolled ups or other products manufactured? Or you're looking for an illustrator?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I spend a lot of time going online looking for things. And, if I had somewhere where I could go and I know that there's at least a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen people / companies that I can talk to, or have a readily available list of products to look through, it saves me time. It also helps the community. We're all small producers, and so we're helping each other as well as helping the end user. So I think we've got to do this, in the face of pandemics and in the face of a probable recession coming, and all the rest of it. And until
as well,
we see what the future's gotten to hold. So there you go. There's my 2 pence.
Yeah. Hey, are you Wensleydale Paul? I thought that was you. I do. Okay, I'm going to properly introduce Paul. Paul is Paul Moore. He is the person. Hey, there he is. Okay, Paul
Lockdown beard still.
For printing all this wonderful stuff for me.
Yeah.
Paul and I've been working now and that too over at Johnny. Yep. He is partner with a company with Jim Freeman for Patriot Games, the stores. I'm correct in saying that, right, Paul? Yeah. And then they've got like a little branch of Patriot Games which is called Custom Patriot, and he does all the custom work, play mats, and just about anything you can think of they can print. And I tell you, I rely on Paul. If it wasn't for Paul, I wouldn't have dice trays, and I wouldn't have these lovely Aru toppers and such. So I do rely on Paul doing this for me, and printing everything for me. But it's good for both of us, because he produces something for me and I pay him to do a service. So we're keeping each other as 2 small businesses afloat, essentially. I mean, he makes the products that I can sell, and I give him work that he can produce and make for his company. So, but yeah, I just wanted to. I'm glad you showed your face there. But yeah, so I when I talk to people, I always say Paul's my business partner, because essentially, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have any of my products. I really, I mean, I'd have the all rolled up, and that would be and felt dice trays. Pretty much.
I mean, a lot of that has come about from us basically sitting down and brainstorming. I can do this, and you need this. How can we get there? And then what else can we do?
Yeah.
I mean, as John said earlier, I've been exchanging a lot of mats for a lot of illustration work in the last few months.
It's a great deal. It's a great deal for me. Yeah.
And hopefully I've got more illustrations I need doing, but we'll see. But that's where this comes in. I mean, there's you've got. Well, I know about the jewellery, and I've totally forgotten. Your screen's probably laid out differently to mine, but the lady with the smiley face floating above her head.
Oh, Lydia.
Yes. So
yes.
I'm one half of Genki Gear. So we do original, unique T-shirt, skiff, everything from bookmarks, notebooks through.
There you go.
I probably am the exception. We don't produce any of our own products. We
Right.
have suppliers for everything we do. We do all of the artwork. Everything we do is designed in-house, but we have suppliers for everything we produce.
So
We don't
therefore, you
manufacture
actually have a
anything.
lot of you've got a lot of useful skills that are very transferable to someone who's come along and they've got an idea, and it's a game or it's a product or it's an accessory, but they have no idea who to talk to, how to get in touch with the manufacturer, or how to go about getting it produced or distributed. And so, as well as the actual things that we make ourselves, we have all this other industry knowledge. And I think that by coming together, we could actually make a lot more use of that. I mean, we do a lot of networking, and that's what shows are great for us. We're all sat here wishing we were actually at a non-COVID show, because they used to exist, so they should again. But yeah, we have to see what else we can do in the meantime.
We're all in the same boat here, and I think we all need to help each other out until this all hopefully disappears someday. That things kind of, I don't think they'll ever get back to a normal, but it'll get back to a point where we are able to go to conventions and such. But I think it's just a really important time right now that we are so on a slippery edge that any of us could just, we get sick, we go out of business. Something could happen. They do a big lockdown and people can't go out to work. We could go out of business. There's all these factors there, and I think if we kind of try and keep each other afloat and help each other out, I think that's what's really important. It's community, and that's something that, like you said, Sally, earlier about going to conventions, it's kind of like a big community. We there might be people who are uber famous, that can do all this stuff, like Ralph Horsley, for instance. We know him,
Yeah.
but people are like, oh, Ralph Horsley, he does all this, It's like, but what I'm saying here, we all are all on the same level. We all know each other, and that's what's really great about this industry, that there's none of it, well, there's not much of it, I'll say a little bit, but there's none of this. We're all on the same playing field. We're on the same level here, and we all sort of get along, and we all help each other out. If there's a good idea out there, it doesn't matter how big your company is. If someone likes it, they will say, okay, can you do some work for us? Free League, look at them. They're just like skyrocketing through, and I'm doing their dice trays, it's just freaky, but it's just because we know them. It's not anything super or anything like that, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm waffling now. So.
I think the bar opens at 9, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's hit that time of night.
Okay, so who's going to be
Gin
responsible
o'clock.
for starting this Discord then? Do we get David to do that for us? We'll get him to a guild. Should we all take a pact here? We'll put our hand in fist in, like everybody fist bump. We're going to join a guild. Yep, you got your finger. He's got his finger. It's the
weird.
But yeah, I mean, it could be, what should we call ourselves? What sort of guild should it be? I'm just thinking Terry Pratchett and all his weird and wonderful guilds.
Yeah.
They all want a guild, and then we should get Jon to do the artwork for our logo for the guild.
Obviously.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll art direct Ralph Horsley. That'll be fine. That's the smart way to do it. I'll do nothing and just tell someone else what to do.
Heraldry, that's what it is. Well, we need some heraldry artwork here. So, but I think I like Paul's idea of a guild, though. I think that's excellent. But we need to sort of come up with what sort of guild? What name would it be? Oh, and you come up
with this episode, right?
Yeah, exactly. Save some for later. I'm going. Bye. I've got to go. So, thank you very much for organising this, Phil.
Yep. And there's no more nobody's got any questions before we all close off. I believe David has videotape. That's my age. He has recorded this whole thing, so we could just play it back later if anybody wants to watch it. And I'm getting dinged from Paul here. Wind up. Okay. Anyway, I just want to say thank you everybody for coming to Unconventional, and I hope you found our talk informative, and please go out and support everybody here and buy something if you can, and if you can't buy something, just spread the word that we have products for sale. And even if you just spread the word, that's a really big help as well. So I just want to thank everyone. I thank everyone for coming, and thank you for putting up with me being my first time. So we shall all say good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Night, John boy. All right, thank you everybody
Bye-bye.
for coming.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Nice to
Bye.
see you all. Bye now.
Bye.